Thanks very much for joining today. As you'll have seen from the alert just now, we are planning to record the presentations this morning. If you have any objection to that, please just don't say anything while the recording's happening. We won't record the discussion at the end so that people can be free to talk without being recorded. But great to see so many people here. I'll just give a moment or two for more people to join. So we're going to use the normal house rules for housekeeping. Please stay muted. If you could make sure you're muted now. It's completely up to you whether you have your camera on or not. It's quite nice to see some of the audience, and feel free to introduce yourselves via the chat. We'll be using the chat for the Q&A after the presentation. So if you have any comments as we go along, put them in the chat, and we will be circulating slides after the event and the recording of the presentation. So just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Mary Anderson from CAG Consultants. I'm joined by my colleague Emma Jones from CAG, who's really running this webinar behind the scenes. She's the power, got her hands on the steering wheel. We would like to thank Power to Change and Community Energy England for supporting the webinar. This is being funded by Power to Change as part of their support for community energy under the Next Generation programme, and Community Energy England have been very helpful publicising it. We've got something for everyone today, whether you're an old hand in local authority already working with community energy, or you're new to it. Duncan Law from Community Energy England is going to give a quick overview at the beginning for those new to community energy. And then Tara Bowers from Exeter Community Energy with Sharon Church from the East Devon District Council will talk about the fuel poverty work that Community Energy, Exeter Community Energy has been doing with a number of local authorities in Devon and the different models they've got there. Ollie Pendered and from Community Energy South and Luciana Almeida from Essex County Council will give an outline of the Community Energy Pathways programme and what it's been doing to build community energy groups capacity in Essex and elsewhere. And then Andriana Ntziadma and Anna Stevenson from the National Lottery Community Fund will outline some current funding opportunities for climate and energy initiatives. And there'll be closing words from Pete Capener, who many of you will know from Community Energy England and Bath and West Community Energy. So Emma is going to launch a poll. This has a question that we asked in the, oops, I think that might be the feedback poll, Emma.
Yeah, I've just realised I've completely failed to set up that poll, the initial poll. Right. My apologies. Bear with me, and I can do that after the first presentation.
Brilliant, thanks. So we just to check in terms of who's actually on the call, whether what sector you're from, and whether you've been involved in a community energy local authority partnership. The rationale behind this webinar is that community energy groups can do an enormous amount to help local authorities further their strategic goals, and we'll hear from the speakers about various ways that they can do that. So without more ado, I will hand over to Duncan Law from Community Energy England, who's going to provide an introduction to the sector for those of you not familiar with it. And you should be able to see his slides now. Can everybody see those? Good.
I can, so I'll kick off. Great, welcome everybody. Thank you for attending. Duncan Law from Community Energy England here. So what is community energy? Well, it's people getting together in with their communities to do energy projects to tackle climate change and benefit the community. So wind, solar, energy efficiency advice, employment and training, a whole raft of stuff. Next, please. Where is community energy? Well, more or less everywhere. Our national map shows the installations. There are 250 organisations in England and more than 500 now in the UK as a whole, doing everything. You can see the gamut of stuff that they're doing on the map there. Next, please. So why work with community energy? What is special about community energy? It harnesses the passion and the expertise and the capital of local people. It's a trusted local intermediary and advocate, and it involves people in those practical, visible, beneficial, game-changing, norm-changing local climate action projects. It's 4 to 5 times better at engaging the public than commercial players and, dare I say, government, and brings 12 to 13 times the social benefit of commercial projects, including fuel poverty work, 10 to 1 social return on investment. In Scotland, community wind delivers 34 times more community benefit than the commercial projects. And it's innovative, it's breaking new grounds, making new combinations of projects on heat, energy efficiency, retrofit, transport, flexibility, and so on. Next. We do a state of the sector report every year since 2017. In 2021, which was our most challenging year ever because of neglect from government, 217,000 people engaged in energy in climate change, 90 organisations working on transport, lots of new energy coming towards us, 57,000 people engaged on energy efficiency, and 3.3 million saved on energy bills. We only installed 7.5 megawatts. That was a 2.4% increase in the sector, but employment in the sector increased by 40%, and those are people on the ground delivering real benefit to communities. Next. So it's not just a nice to have, an icing on the cake. The Committee on Climate Change says it will not be possible to get close to meeting net zero targets without engaging with people who need to be part of the decision and own the projects. Next. And local is where it's at. It's where most of the energy decisions are made. It's where a lot of activity happens, including on transport. And it's where local authorities and people own assets and infrastructure. And place specific is best. You can see it's more efficient on investment. It saves more energy. It delivers wider social benefits. The blue bars on the graph. That's an Innovate UK study. Next, please. So the national picture, Chris Skidmore in his net zero review said turbocharge community energy, but the government came back and a lot of cut and paste from stuff we've seen before. But importantly, it recommended working with local authorities to access the national growth funds, the Levelling Up and the Shared Prosperity Fund. And there are so many mutual benefits from those collaborations on delivery, on public engagement, on mobilizing investment, free money, maximizing the use of your assets, convening, connecting, creating synergies. Sorry about that. Next. And here are some of the areas where you might consider partnership, doing a regeneration consortium bid to one of those funds, commissioning work on energy efficiency advice, for instance, innovation funding to do new work that's breaking the grounds, delivering renewable energy on council assets. Very often councils want to, but don't. Energy efficiency, fuel poverty advice, lots of money from government on that front, but community energy can help with delivery. Climate emergency planning, change advocacy, education, skills, capacity building, transport, heat, really tricky. And finally, local area energy planning so that we do what we need to do strategically with all possible partners. Next. So how to collaborate? Well, first find your local organisation, use our member map or our national map, both on our websites. Start a conversation about how you can collaborate, what the opportunities from funding are, what they want to do, what you want to do, and how you can support them. look at our funding database, which has got lots of places where you can get money to do it. And if there isn't one in your area, set one up. There'll be more on that later. Consider joining Community Energy England. And last slide, collaborate and check out our maps. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Duncan. That was an amazing whirlwind tour of the importance and potential significance of the community energy sector and all those different ways that community energy can help local authorities to further their objectives. And our next speaker is Tara Bowers from Exeter Community Energy, who's an organisation that's working on fuel poverty and financial inclusion, touching some of the bits of community energy activity that you might not be aware of, and working with no fewer than 5 local authorities in Devon. So Tara, over to you.
Thank you. There we go. So yes, thanks very much for inviting me to speak today. So I'm one of the directors at Exeter Community Energy, and I'm the project manager for our energy efficiency projects, which tackles both fuel poverty and carbon reduction targets at the same time, which is what makes it really interesting for us, is that we set out as an organisation to tackle climate change. And whilst we started off by doing some community-owned solar, we found quite quickly that we could have a greater local impact if we started working on energy efficiency, and in particular in the fuel poverty arena. So I'm going to be telling you about the work that we do on our Healthy Homes for Wellbeing project. So this is all around supporting vulnerable customers in fuel poverty, and over the last 5 years, the kind of developments we've made in terms of working with local authorities and the county council. Most of our work is funded. We do some small amounts of work that we're paid to deliver by various other projects, but in the main, we're funded to do all of this work. And as Mary just said, the complication for us is that we actually work in 5 districts. So whilst we're called Exeter Community Energy, when we started this project in 2017, quite quickly we were asked by the different local authorities if we could start to support their areas. And also the national organisation LEAP, which some of you will have heard of, Local Energy Advice Partnership. We were working with them in Exeter, and they had nobody else to partner with in these other 4 districts. So we took up the challenge of increasing our geographical spread, and we now across those 5 districts cover a huge geographical area, and there is about 300,000 homes in that area for us to try to work with on energy efficiency. And I thought it'd just be worth putting some context behind this. This is the current numbers for our energy team. So 16 home energy advisors, lots of support staff, and we also handle benefits and debt advice in-house now, which we've been doing benefits advice for over 2 years, and we've added debt advice, regulated debt advice, to our service delivery offering since this year. We've also got a project where we train community energy champions. This is volunteers. So we've currently got 25 fully trained champions, and I'm training another 5 tomorrow. So that's a number that's going to keep growing for us. We've also got our retrofit team, which is currently 6 people, which I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing with councils in terms of retrofit. And I just thought it might be useful to give you some numbers of what we achieved last year. So as a year ended 31st of March, we helped over 3,000 households in our area with in-depth advice, and almost 1,000 of those had a home visit from us. And we did a massive amount of outreach last year. The community was hungry for it post-COVID, and I was absolutely blown away when I did the numbers last week. 450 outreach events for the year, which is absolutely massive achievement for my team. And at those outreach events, we helped a further 1,477 households with light touch advice. So in total, almost 5,000 homes helped by us last year, which is an amazing achievement. So when I was preparing for today, I thought it might be useful just to think about our keys to success, because we've grown immensely since the start. Pre-COVID, we only had 4 advisors, and now we've got 16 plus all the other things that we do. And I think the key to that growth and the success of our project is definitely funding bids. We've been very successful with funding bids, and I can't take all of the credit for that. We've got somebody on our team that actually helps write the funding bids. I think also in the early days, we had some massive support from our MP. That was really crucial in connecting us with councils and other key stakeholders in our area. I'm echoing a word that Duncan just used, passion. I think that as a group, we've got immense passion and persistence. And whenever there's a closed door, we just keep knocking. We don't take no for an answer. If we feel we've got a solution to give to the community, we will just keep asking until we can build the partnership that needs to be built in order to help people on the ground. And definitely the strong relationships we've built with the district and the county council have been a major part in our growth. And also the strength of the collaboration in Devon, because in Devon we are blessed to have a large number of community energy groups, and we all work together. We've got a number of projects that we all collaborate on. There's Energy Saving Devon, which is basically hosted by Devon County Council, and that's a partnership of all of the councils and energy groups. The Devon Climate Emergency Team work with all of the community energy groups. We've got our own community energy network, which has got more than 25 groups taking part, meeting quarterly. And we've also got 2 steering groups that meet fortnightly on alternate weeks, one looking at retrofit and one looking at general energy advice. So we're very proactive as a community energy sector, and therefore all of the councils in Devon benefit from that collective learning and sharing. So I thought also just think about kind of the backstory to this, and kind of why we should work with the local authorities. And I came up with some of these ideas, and maybe you'll have some of your own, but for me, some of the most important reasons for working with our local authorities is the communications that we can have to access residents. I can't afford to do publicity to 300,000 homes. Haven't got the resources or the money to do that kind of thing, but I can access those homes directly through the councils. So we've worked with some of the councils in different ways. For example, resident newsletters, inserts in council tax notices, social media and pages on websites being obvious places that we can publicise our work to the residents. I think it's also really helpful for us to be able to provide feedback to the councils. We're the people on the ground. We're one of the few organisations actually doing home visits. So we're able to feed back to the councils on what we're seeing, if there's any developing trends or problems in their areas, so that we can work together to find solutions for those. And our feedback can be really helpful when it comes time to looking at funding bids or making some key strategic decisions. And the other really key thing for us has been the networking and introductions to not only the right people within the councils themselves, but also on partners or partner organisations or networking forums, or key people in health or social care, for example. So all of those things have been absolutely massive, made a massive difference to us as we've been through the last 5 years. And I thought you might probably want to ask, well, how did we make some of this happen? So I was kind of reflecting on this yesterday, trying to remember how we got started with all of this. And I definitely think being a nuisance.
Tara, flagging one minute.
Okay, thank you. I think definitely being a nuisance to the councils, keep badgering them, when can we do this, or when can you meet with us, and how are we going to make this happen, definitely was one of the key factors. But other key things were inviting them to our events, and making sure we did training with their teams, and other really major thing was having a key contact, making sure you've got one person that's on your side and can make things happen for you. I'm not going to go through this slide because you'll get a copy of it, but I listed the kind of things we do day to day with some of the councils. I've only listed 3 here, and I'll just pick up a couple of really important things. So in Exeter, we have really great support on communications and on forums, Wellbeing Steering Group and the Landlord Forum we're part of. So that's amazing for us. In Torbay, climate change is their focus, so we're on the climate partnership, as well as lots of other things we do with Torbay. And in East Devon, which we'll hear about in a minute, we partner on their really innovative financial resilience programme. And it would be remiss of me not to mention Devon County Council, because Devon County Council have been a major part of what's been going on in Devon in recent years. Not only do they contract us as community energy groups to deliver retrofit assessments and coordination on LAD and HUD programmes, but they've also helped us as a collaboration to develop an able to pay retrofit model, which is being launched at the moment. At Exeter, we've launched our part of that project. And we're really grateful for Devon County Council to help us make that happen. And I mentioned earlier the Energy Saving Devon Partnership and the Devon Community Energy Network, which are both supported by Devon County Council. Without their funding and coordination on those things, they wouldn't happen. So it really is a complete and total collaboration across Devon between all of the local authorities, county council and the community energy groups. And we're seeing the rewards of that in the numbers of people we're helping. So that's all I need to say. I will pass over now to Sharon Church, who is from Exeter, East Devon District Council, who we work with on a financial resilience project, and she'll explain a little bit about what it means to the council to be working with us.
Hi, thank you, Tara. I don't have any slides. It's just a quick follow on from really to let everybody know how great the project has been, the partnership's been. So at East Devon, we set up a financial resilience team probably just before the beginning of COVID. And that overall aim is really to understand and try to help resolve those underlying issues causing financial hardship or poverty. And one of the things we picked up really quickly was the level of people's energy bills. And that's before even all of the price rises last year. So to help deal with that, we knew we needed to do something about that. We weren't the experts, and Tara was being a nuisance at the time. So we were able to actually kind of get together, and actually the timing was perfect for us, which was when we started working with ECO. So our own setup was that we didn't want to complete our cases off until we actually dealt with them fully, and so we wanted to make sure we actively worked with ECO and to be able to help support. So that might have been ringing people if they dropped engagement. Maybe our private sector housing team had to go down the more formal route if landlords weren't interested.
Sorry to interrupt, Sharon, just one minute. Thanks.
Okay, very quick. So we did a lot of work really trying to keep involved together, and then we would meet once a month to discuss more in-depth cases. And that's really allowed us to work out some of those really tricky cases and situations. And from our side, we now don't see as many people dropping off the radar and then coming back 6 months later because they're still in the same situation because nothing's moved forward. So over the last couple of years, the partnerships really continued to grow. We refer most of our cases now into ECO. And our data has shown really big energy savings, which in turn has resulted in residents being financially better off. They've also were able to step in and help us when administering the household support fund, because especially with white goods and carpets, because we link that to energy and warmth as well. So in a way that it's also been great because Tara's helped to ensure that we're looking at our climate strategy as well, about energy efficiency products, rather than the cheapest fridge, for example. And as Tara mentioned, ECO often, because they do visits, that they'll often pick up people that we don't see either, and they refer those cases back in, so we're picking up people we don't know about. So overall really pleased how it's all going, and results showing that working together you really can make a big difference.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Both you and Tara, so impressive. All the activities that are happening in Devon and East Devon, and your innovative approach to financial inclusion. So interesting to hear, I suppose, about the importance of that at the moment with high energy bills and the high cost of living. It's really high priority for so many parts of the country. So I would like now to introduce Ollie Pendered and Luciana Almeida, who are going to talk about the community energy pathways work. Ollie, I think you're starting first, aren't you?
I believe I am. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Goody good. And you've got our presentation, haven't you?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, there we go. It's coming up. Is that you driving there, Luciana? Emma's driving.
No,
Oh, well.
it's Luciana driving it. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Luciana. So hi, everybody. I'm really pleased to be presenting to you about the Community Energy Pathways Programme that we're running in coordination with several local authorities, county councils, and we've got 10 minutes, but I'm going to spend 5 minutes. Just somebody in the background with their speaker. We've got, I'm going to speak to you about the Pathways Programme, and then Luciana Almeida from Essex County Council is the Low Carbon Project Development Officer that we've been working with in Essex over the last few years. Will follow through and just explain about council policies and how they align with the community energy programmes and development. This is really important, and hopefully we'll get that across to you. Just a point, when Theresa May left her post sometimes back, one of the last things she did was a policy on climate emergency. We all know now that local authorities have committed to climate emergencies, but they also have their net zero strategies and targets in place, supported by the regional energy hubs, and now central government and DESNES, the new department for net zero, working with local authorities and building a bridge for the community energy sector is fundamental in reaching net zero, because we need people who are informed about energy to inform the energy agenda and net zero agendas and support councils to get to net zero. So people participation is fundamental in this, and that's why we're all here. So we've developed the team at Community Energy South. We're a capacity building organisation, and we have a full team of community energy specialists as well as project managers taken from the community energy sector to support the growth and help groups get stronger and capacity build. And we have a step-by-step approach to developing county-wide community energy movements. And our vision is that every district in the country will have a community energy group. And Community Energy England's 2030 vision from their State of the Sector in 2020 estimated a 20 times growth in the community energy sector. And that's what we're all about sort of growing local leadership, supporting local authorities to get to net zero, and combining local authorities with the communities. Thanks. So we follow a kind of basic powering up, powering down, and energy planning strategy when we talk to new and existing community energy groups. So powering up is obviously growing renewables and looking at pipelines, solar roofs and car clubs and things like that, and heat projects. And powering down is looking at those megawatts and giving energy advice like Exeter are doing. And then there's energy planning as well, you know, trying to support communities to have whole community decarbonisation plans towards community energy and retrofit. And that's something we're really keen on, and linking up with the DNOs and the local authorities as well. Thanks. So this is the overall strategy for those of you who like a nice map and a drawing of strategies. To achieve net zero with local net zero strategies within a local authority, we believe strongly that community energy networks need to be developed within a county region. And that's what Community Energy Pathway is all about. And in Essex now, you'll see a map in a second where we've got 4 community energy groups that work together, that are building their strategies forward alongside the county council and also the 2-tier authorities now as well, the districts and boroughs. And that's really important because that bottom-up approach brings forward, combines public finance with community finance, local consents from people, consultation benefits, but also community support and approvals. It's really important that we all work together to get to net zero. Thanks. I'll just go. So this is what the map of Essex now looks. So 3 or 4 years ago, there were no community energy groups in Essex. Now we're slowly building a strong community energy network, and you'll hear from Luciana shortly about that. And I'll just go on to the next slide. Over the last year, we've worked with 10 local authorities to look at their strategies, so their net zero commitments. And this is just a few takeaways from Essex. So Essex want to build a network of community energy neighbourhoods to generate, share and use energy locally. So we need to build that community energy sector for them. Produce enough energy within the county to meet their own net zero targets by 2040. So again, you know, that's where community energy models fit in. And they're also looking at large scale renewables and their strategies towards that, and retrofit as well. So I'll share these slides so you can see them. Thank you.
Can I just say, Ollie, you and Luciana have 2 or 3 more minutes between you.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry,
I had 5 minutes at the moment on my stopwatch, but
okay,
yeah.
right, okay.
Okay, so I'll just build through this, but you can see the slides. You know, across the country, we're looking at the net zero strategies, and these are the lines that we're seeing, the policies and objectives that councils are working on that aligns with the community energy sector. Thank you. And that's from me, and I'll just pass on to Luciana.
I think you're muted, Luciana.
Hi, can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm using Zoom web, it's a bit funny. Is it on presenter mode still?
No, Luciana, it's not. It's just slipped on.
Let me just try to go back to that. Yeah, is it okay now?
Yep, all good.
Good. So I'll do this quickly because I know we're running out of time. So this slide is really just to talk about the county council perspective on why working with the community energy groups. But I think Duncan and Tara has given you so many reasons and the background about that. So if I can summarize, really, it's just about helping to build a capacity, making some assets available for community energy groups, and creating that enabling environment as well that will help them to grow. And Ollie mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, when we started to work with the Community Energy South with the Pathways program in 2020, we had 0 groups in Essex and established as community energy, even though we've been as a team really interested in and organising webinars and raising awareness of the benefits of community energy for the residents, for them to, but it was only when we were lucky enough to get some funding from as part of a European project and commission Community Energy South and the Pathways program to help us to create this business support program that we've seen groups really getting established in Essex. I won't go through that. So as part of this partnership with Community Energy South, 4 groups have been created. One of them, Saffron Walden Community Energy in the north of the county. That's when working in partnership and thinking about how we can help villages then to decarbonize. The main project that Saffron Walden is leading on and now is this Littlebury Energy projects about getting the community together and moving away from oil heating there. The group is working not just with one parish, but making links with all the neighbor parishes as well. So there's a lot of networking happening. Community energy staff is there to help them with the skills, the county council enabling the partnerships with the district. So that's where we see the projects, the collaborative approach working really well. We've got Tollesbury Climate Partnership Group. There's this group is working with the local school to decarbonize. They launched the first community energy offer in Essex, raising £250,000 match funding to match with a grant from the Public Sector Decarbonisation Fund. £400,000 they secured to decarbonize the local school, to install solar panels, heat pumps, insulation. So really, really, really proud of the work the Tollesbury Climate Partnership work there in Tollesbury with the local school. And last but not least, Community Energy Colchester, a small group, but have been really active with the community, helping the local schools as well, but more on the educational side, kind of leading on classroom activities, helping. That's my 10-minute alarm. So helping the local schools to reduce on energy consumption, helping the parish councils to install EV charge points. So that links back to our own strategies as a county to roll out EV charge points, motivating other parish councils. So that's where we see our collaboration really growing in the next year. So that's me. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Ollie and Luciana. Really inspiring work there, and kind of a clear framework as to what the benefits are of developing those partnerships, bringing in community share offer funding to complement public sector funding, and rooting things in local engagement. I'd like to introduce now Andriana Ntziadma and Anna Stevenson from the National Lottery Community Fund, who will tell you about some current funding that's available through the Climate Action Fund. Over to you, Andriana.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Ariana. I am a portfolio manager at the National Lottery Community Fund, and myself and my colleague Anna will give you some context about the Climate Action Fund and our current open funding program focusing on energy and climate. For those who are not familiar with the fund, we are the largest community funder in the UK, and we distribute money raised by national lottery players to communities across the UK. Our funding is open to everyone, and over the last 3 years, our funding reached every constituency, every local authority, and 81% of wards in the UK. In 2019, we launched the Climate Action Fund as a 10-year, 100 million commitment to demonstrate the power of community-led action, what is actually possible when communities have a leading role in tackling climate change. Our vision is to empower, is to give tools, resources, inspire people in local communities across the UK to take positive action. And we currently support a very diverse portfolio of over 55 community-led partnerships where the projects work together, share their learning and amplify their voices, but by connecting with other initiatives across the UK. We are keen for the projects that we fund to be more than the sum of their parts. So the program is accompanied by a strong learning offer. We work closely with expert learning partners to deliver this offer, and we're creating opportunities for learning and development. We're creating spaces for collaboration. We work closely with the projects to generate evidence about the work, because we want to demonstrate the role community-led action can have and the impact of community-led action. And last, we provide a lot of capacity building opportunities as well for projects to ensure that they can share their work and reach diverse audiences and inspire them to take action, and obviously for the projects to remain sustainable in the longer term. Acknowledging time constraints, we only have 10 minutes. You can view in this slide the various rounds and level of investment to date in the various areas of emission. Our nature and climate theme is open to applications, and it will be open until the end of June. But early in March, acknowledging the current energy landscape and the fact that community-driven energy projects, as very eloquently was discussed from lots of you, are very uniquely positioned to support communities to engage with all these new opportunities that are coming from the shift towards sustainable ways of using and generating energy. We launched the climate and energy priority. We strongly believe that community-driven energy projects have a huge potential to inspire actions at scale and shift mindsets and behaviors. And with this context in mind, we have available at the moment 10 million for this priority. We want to fund a small number of projects. We're thinking to fund up to 12 projects, with average grants expected to be 1 million and minimum grants around 500,000. The fund is not relevant to small-scale projects. It's for projects that have a potential to scale, and they have an ambitious vision, and they have potential to create some sort of momentum that can inspire diverse communities to take action beyond those directly involved in the project. And my colleague Anna will expand a little bit more on opportunities within the fund beyond the Climate Action Fund that they may be relevant for you at this point in time if you feel that this is not the right program for you. In addition to supporting energy projects through delivery grants, we want also to support the development of a UK-wide energy learning network. We're thinking to invest up to 1.5 million for up to 5 years for this network, and details about this will be announced shortly. On our website, we're currently in development phase. Our priority areas for this funding opportunity were identified following scoping work and a lot of the internal and external consultations involving a range of stakeholders. We want to make sure this offer complements but also adds value to what else is out there at the moment, and also takes consideration all the relevant recent policy developments and findings from, for example, the recent Skidmore review. In terms of our priority areas, we are acknowledging that we are a community funder, and on this occasion, we want to fund projects that have a strong climate lens. We want to see projects coming forward that provide communities with awareness, skills, capacity, as well as inspiration to explore the role of communities to support collective behavioral change towards a low carbon and more sustainable future. But we're also interested to fund projects that they build skills in communities to understand and engage and potentially shape opportunities related to transition to clean energy generation. All projects that we fund, we want them to show how they're going to be addressing climate change, but also how they can also generate financial health, well-being benefits for communities, the so-called co-benefits.
Ariana, if I can just interrupt, you've got kind of 2 minutes left between you and Anna.
Great. Then I will pass on to Anna. The last slide is this slide from me, just for inspiration. We just want to acknowledge how important local areas are and local authorities are, and the role that they're playing in supporting the transition to net zero. I think Luciana very eloquently raised a number of benefits about collaboration between projects and the benefits of collaboration between like communities and local authorities. So I'll pass on to Anna to talk to you a bit more about the details of this. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. Ariana, are you okay to put the next slide on? So while that's coming on, I'll talk to you a little bit about our funding criteria. all projects should consider how everyone in the community can get involved. So we would expect to see consideration of equity, diversity and inclusion in every aspect of the work. So that's really important that that comes across if you're applying to the Climate Action Fund, and that's reflected in your application and in every aspect of that application, rather than it being yes, we have a policy, or yes, kind of a nod to it. It does need to be integrated throughout that, because it is a fundamental priority for us at the Climate Action Fund to reach further and beyond the usual kind of people around the table to include everyone in this opportunity. We do have some equity principles on our website, actually, so if you are considering applying to us, it's absolutely worth having a look at those. They're quite easy to find. We also want to look at how projects put communities first. By this, we mean we'd like to see how communities can take an active role in shaping, exploring and participating in energy projects. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to be involved in the full design of the programme, but we really want to see how projects are enabling communities and diverse communities to participate in energy projects and to really make the most of those opportunities created, Ariana was talking about.
Sorry to jump in, Anna, but just 1 minute, because we
No problem. I'm nearly there.
Thank you so much.
Ariana, next slide. We'll speed through. So what does good look like? Briefly then, Green Meadows is a National Lottery funded project in Nottingham, doing some fantastic work. We've been funding them for the past couple of years. They fund things like DIY upskilling to the local community. They lend out thermal imaging equipment, and they can help communities and individuals to develop their own tailored energy plan. Next slide, Ariana. What we're unlikely to fund. We are a community funder, and as such we're not focusing on individual households, but we can explore opportunities to fund community venues if it's part of a wider behaviour change programme. We're unlikely to fund cost of living focused projects. However, the lottery has ring-fenced and committed 75 million to support projects that are focused on cost of living, but that's not something we're looking at the moment. Ariana? The process is a two-stage process. Go on our website, have a look at our blog and information. You can then submit a fairly straightforward expression of interest. We have a look at that. It takes about 10 weeks for us to get back to you to confirm that you will or won't be going forward to full application stage. There's a hyperlink there you can click through to see what the type of questions we ask for at that stage, and there are decision-making panels on a quarterly basis.
Thank you very much.
Nearly there.
Nearly there. Okay. Yep.
Just 2 more seconds. So the partnerships programme is an alternative. Have a look at that. Check it out if you don't think Climate Action Fund is quite the right fit. Ariana?
Thank you.
There's some resources, and lastly, our contact details. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Sorry to rush you at the end, but just trying to keep a bit of time for questions. That's really, really helpful, kind of full information on what the funding would work for and what it wouldn't work for. So I hope that will be of interest to many people on the call. Emma, over to you, because you've been keeping an eye on questions in the chat, and I think we've got a little bit of time for that.
Yes, because we have only got a little bit of time. There's one question which I'm going to ask people if they've got any information to answer in the chat. So a question from Chris Cookle-Fallon about any examples of local plan policies that support community energy. So because that might well be for participants as well as speakers. If anybody knows of any examples, if you could share them in the chat, we'll then scoop everything out of the chat and share it with everyone after the event along with the slides. But a question for our speakers. So one of the questions somebody's posed is, what would be your top tips for community energy organisations and councils to engage to create a network to deliver more renewables? And as a subset of that, what funding is required? So I thought I'd just go around each of our speakers, and maybe if you want to give me your #1 top tip and then perhaps if you could build on whatever the person before you has said. So Tara, would you be happy to go first? What would be your top tip?
Yeah, it's difficult to pick one. I think it is just persistence. Is, you know, be sure that what you can offer is going to add real value to local people, and, you know, just be persistent at trying to build that partnership to deliver it, and just don't let go of it really until it happens.
Fabulous. So persistence and make sure you're adding value. That's a great one to start off with. Sharon, do you want to add anything to that? From the local authority perspective, what would you say?
Yeah, I guess echoing Tara, really, it's making sure you're speaking and just making sure that it's what, from a low income perspective, is making sure that people can afford those changes, because sometimes the price and the cost of the energy after can actually make things worse occasionally for people. So just having that in mind.
Okay, so make sure it's affordable.
Yeah.
Ollie, would you like to go next?
Yeah, as far as developing networks, is look at a county-wide perspective, look at all the strategies within the county, read their net zero strategy, read the districts and the boroughs' net zero strategy, and align yourself with the councils and look at capacity building. You know, we need to create jobs. We're in a really good position. Community is fundamental to that, to get to net zero.
Fabulous. Some great advice there. Luciana, would you like to add anything to that from your perspective?
Yeah, from the local authority perspective, I think for other local authorities that are starting this journey, to be as well persistent and be there and create a long-term support that is not going to end soon. I think that's finding the funding, finding the resources to be persistent and be there for them, because you will see the results. Yeah.
Thanks very much. And Andriana, I know your perspective is slightly different, but from your perspective of delivering, of seeing all these community action, climate action fund projects being delivered, what would be your top tips? Anything that you'd like to suggest? Ari, should we go to you first?
Yeah, that's fine, Emma, thanks. I completely agree with what everyone said. My tip would be bring the right people in the room and try to kind of understand how everything kind of is aligned in terms of expectations, future planning, etc., and try to kind of resolve any potential issues that they're coming up with, involving everyone possible, everyone relevant in this space.
Fantastic. And Anna, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely agree with Andriana and also Ollie in particular. I think having the right people in the room, and also kind of making sure that those people in the room are able to be greater than the sum of their parts. So think about their individual skills, not just that they're maybe, you know, in this sector. Actually, what can we pull from other sectors' work? And, you know, this diverse experience is often really useful and brings a unique perspective and can produce some really fantastic results.
And last but not least, Duncan, lots and lots of great tips there. What would you add to that list?
I would say start the conversation with the right people in the room. Look for common interests, look for win-win, start something, make sure that there's a regular, that you arrange the next meeting at the first meeting, and look at what, as a local authority, you can offer that will unlock this amazing resource of energy that otherwise won't go anywhere. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Brilliant. Fantastic list there, which we'll put together and share with the slides when we send them around. And it feels like that has a great starting point for a blog post or something. So we'll have to think about that. The one other question we haven't addressed was tips about securing funding. So again, if anybody's got any advice on that, I know there has been some shared in the chat, but please do share any top tips for securing funding and sources of funding to help community energy organisations get off the ground. That would be fantastic. I think, Mary, we'll end it on that note, or hand over now to, I'll let you hand over to Pete while I launch, hopefully more successfully, our feedback poll.
Thank you very much, Emma, and thanks to all the speakers. Really interesting insights there. I'm going to introduce now Peter Capener from Bath and West Community Energy, who wears many hats, including liaising with the Department of Energy Security and Net Zero on community energy issues, and Community Energy England, who will reflect on what we've heard today. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Mary. And I mean, I have to say, absolutely delighted to hear the strength and passion in all the presentations, really demonstrating the scope and ambition there is within both the sector and the ability to bring together community and local authorities. I have to say, I find it really exciting to be part of such a rapidly growing movement, and it does feel like a movement that's starting to take off on a month-by-month basis. You see more stuff happening, more community groups doing different things, and so it's really something I think we should be collectively nourishing and supporting and engaging with. But interesting, reflecting back on Duncan's point at the beginning about Chris Skidmore's net zero review and his comment about the need to turbocharge the community energy sector. I think a local authority partnership is clearly critical to the ability to do that. And I think the presentations again showed the value of project-based partnerships, but they also touched on the value of a strategic partnership. And if I could add my tip, that's what I'd be suggesting, is think about how we can embed a strategic partnership within practical delivery mechanisms, because that's when, in our experience in Bath and West Community Energy, that's where we've started to see real political support, which then opens up the opportunity for officers to put real time into the engagement and the support and the practical delivery. And there are a number of different ways that you can frame that strategic partnership. It could be through a joint venture or a cooperation agreement like it is in our case, or secondments like kicked off Plymouth Energy Community, but finding some mechanism for practically embedding that strategic partnership brings real value, because then when opportunities come along, you can engage with them together rather than having potential unintended consequences with two parties trying to do similar types of things. So I think that will also give us the best chance of delivering financially sustainable business models, because whilst there is increasing amounts of funding, grant funding available, the more that we can deliver financially sustainable business models, the more that we can use that grant funding where it's really needed. So I'd urge people really to get involved, as we've heard all the way through this excellent workshop. Thanks very much for putting it on. And urge people to get involved and establish those strategic partnerships. Let's drive forward local place-based activity together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pete. And I hope that's provided lots of food for thought and opportunities for starting conversations, continuing conversations, and doing that within an overall strategic framework of building partnerships and moving towards net zero. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Great to see you all.